All right, everybody, it's Michael Cohen here with you on the Sports Talk Nation. It is now time for our Week 9 picks in the National Football League. So, as most of you know, it's been kind of catch as catch can this year with the picks. Been kind of busy a lot of times. And the last time we did picks, it was just a couple weeks ago. It was Week 7. And I'm going to pull it up right now here for you folks. I am going to pull up the numbers here for you as I went 10-3 in week number 7. And on the year, a record of 50, 24, and 2. Of course, those 2 ties that happened earlier this year. So 50 wins, 24 losses, 2 ties, as we now move into week number 9. And, of course, the NFL now taking center stage. Baseball season is now over, and we're getting to the nitty-gritty part of the season here, folks. I mean, you have teams right now battling for playoff position, teams thinking about the postseason, other teams like the Cleveland Browns who are out of it and thinking, maybe it's time to start to think forward about 2019. So that's where we are right now at this point of the year. It is the unofficial halfway point of the 2018 season. So let's get right at it here, folks. Let's kick things off, folks, with the big game of the week, and that's the LA Rams paying a visit to New Orleans to take on the Saints. This game is easily the biggest game of the week. Heck, it may even be the biggest game of the year. You have the LA Rams at 8-0 going into New Orleans to take on a Saints team that's 6-1. Winner of this game has the inside track on the number 1 seed in the NFC. And in a lot of ways, both of these teams mirror each other. I mean, you take a look, you have 2 teams with really good quarterbacks, 2 teams that can run the football pretty well, 2 teams that are 2 of the top offenses in the NFL. Now, defensively, you would give a slight edge to the Rams. The Rams have been a better defensive unit overall. But, don't fall asleep on New Orleans. Their rush defense has been pretty good so far this year. Yes, I know they're 23rd in pass defense. I understand that, but that defense has done an okay job so far this year for the Saints, as they are now 6-1. So, really, this game, essentially, is a toss-up. Now, the key to this game is going to be how Drew Brees does against this pass rush of the LA Rams. You're talking about a Rams team that has Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald. They just added Jake Fowler, who has been kind of an underachieving player with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They acquired him at the deadline, so they can certainly get after the quarterback. And Brees has had the benefit of being well protected pretty much all year. I mean, he's only been sacked 9 times. He's only turned it over once. So he has had a tremendous year and has been able to stand in the pocket and make plays for this Saints offense. And that's going to be the big challenge here is can he continue to do that against this LA Rams pass rush? That is going to be the big focus of this game. I think on the flip side, again, it's for the Rams. This is going to be a second straight week where they're going to play a really talented offensive team. Now, the Packers solved a couple of things. They revealed a couple of things about the Rams. I mean, you can make plays against them. I think had the Packers gotten the football back, if Ty Montgomery didn't fumble the football on that kickoff, there was a good chance that Aaron Rodgers, with a little less than 2 minutes to go, was going to get that team to field goal range to kick a game-winning field goal. With the way he was moving the football at the end of the game, that was very, very possible. The Packers did solve a couple of things. They got some pressure on Jared Goff last week. He hurried a couple of throws, didn't have a great game. He still threw for 3 touchdowns, didn't turn it over, but he had some issues early on in the football game. So if you're New Orleans, the key is going to be trying to get some pressure on Goff, force some bad throws, and they have to be opportunistic on defense if they're going to have a chance to win this game against the Rams. Really, both of these teams defensively have to be opportunistic against these 2 quarterbacks. So that's going to be really the key in this game. Can the defense step up in this game and make some plays? So who do I like in this game? I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints to win this football game. And it's no disrespect to the Rams, but I think the Rams are kind of due to lose the football game. They've had some close calls. They had a close call last week against the Green Bay Packers, had a close call against the Seattle Seahawks early in the month. The Denver Bronco game ended up being closer than it probably should have been. So they have played some tight games here this year. They've won them all. But this is going to be a big test for them. It's going to be a big test for the Saints as well. It'll be a fantastic football game. But I'll take the Saints to find a way to get a win. They'll get a touchdown late. Maybe it'll look like they're pulling away, even though I think it's going to be really tight down the stretch for the entire game. 35-27, I'll take the Saints to beat the Rams. Game number 2, let's go to Landover, Maryland, and that's going to be the Washington Redskins and the Atlanta Falcons. Redskins playing good football right now. They have won 3 straight. They're looking for their 4th straight win. They are on top of this division in the NFC East at 5-2, and they got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. It hasn't been spectacular, but it's been good enough. The defense has been solid. Adrian Peterson has reversed the age process here a little bit, as he had a really good game last week against the Giants. So the Redskins come into this game, I guess, like I said, feeling pretty good about themselves. This will be a stiff test for them. And I know the Falcons are beaten up. I know they have a lot of injuries, but they are a desperate team right now. They're 3-4. They have started to get the ball rolling just a little bit before they enter their bye week. So they're coming off of that. They got a couple of nice wins against two bad teams, the Buccaneers and the Giants, before that bye week. This is their best test that they could get coming out of the bye week, going up against a team that right now is in first place and feeling good about themselves. I like the Falcons in this game. And it's more because I just don't know if I can trust the Washington Redskins right now. And it's not a knock on them. They're good. Like I said, they have a good football team. Alex Smith doesn't turn the football over, but I just get the feeling that even though the Redskins are good, I don't know how good they can be. Okay? You take a look. They did beat the Panthers. That's a signature win, but they've also gotten smacked around by the Saints. They even lost to a mediocre team in the Colts this year. So who are the Washington Redskins as we move forward throughout the season? They won a close game against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, and even in the Giants game last week, it wasn't they didn't dominate the game. It was 7-3 for a very long time in that football game. The Giants had a number of chances to come back and take the lead, if not go ahead and try to win the game. So I'm not convinced by the Redskins just yet. And even with all, like I said, even with all the injuries on the Falcons, they still have enough firepower there with Matt Ryan, with Julio Jones and company to get the job done. I will take the Falcons, a desperate team needing a win against the team that may be feeling a little bit overconfident this week. So I'll take the Falcons 25-20 over the Washington Redskins. Game number 3, and let's go. This is another tough game to call, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And a classic AFC North matchup between these two teams, and both of these teams have really gone in opposite directions since they last played in late September. In that game in late September, Pittsburgh was reeling, right? No Le'Veon Bell, a lot of issues in the locker room, issues with Antonio Brown, all kinds of problems. And the Ravens came into that game in Pittsburgh and absolutely smacked around the Steelers, winning that game 26-14. Since that time, these two teams, again, as I said, have gone in opposite directions. The Steelers have figured things out. They have started to play good football. They have won 3 in a row. And the Ravens, have now lost 3 of their last 4, including losses to the Browns, to the Saints by 1 point at home, and they got smacked around by the Panthers last week. And in that game against the Panthers last week, you have a top-ranked defense here with the Baltimore Ravens giving up 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Cam Newton just did whatever he wanted to last week against that Raven defense. So I'm a little bit concerned. You have to be concerned if you are a Raven fan going into this game that this team right now isn't playing as well as it was earlier in the year, and Pittsburgh right now is starting to figure things out. I just got a funny feeling, folks, that even though a lot of people like the Ravens this week, and I can certainly understand why, because the Ravens have matched up well against Pittsburgh over the years, they are 10-6 in the last 16 games between these two teams in favor of the Ravens. So I get it, okay? And I certainly get it. But I think that this is going to be a situation where these two teams end up splitting on the year. And I like the Steelers to win this game. Again, James Conner starting to play very well. You're almost forgetting about Le'Veon Bell. You really have forgotten about Le'Veon Bell, for that matter, with the way Conner has run the football this year. Close to 600 yards rushing, 4.7 yards per carry. Big Ben starting to pick up his game here in recent weeks, and things starting to move a little bit smoother for the Steelers. Even Antonio Brown getting close to 10 touchdowns. He has 8 touchdowns already halfway through the season. So I like the Steelers in this game. Slight upset, 23-19 over the Baltimore Ravens in Maryland. Game number 4, I'm going to throw a bone to my friends here in the New York City metro area. And I will talk about the Jets-Dolphins game, even though it really doesn't deserve any consideration whatsoever, because these two teams are going nowhere. You talk about two teams that are struggling to find out who they are and find their identity. It's right now the Jets and the Dolphins. The Dolphins maybe more so, because they got off to that 3-0 start to the season, and it's been nothing but a nightmare for them since. Have lost 4 out of 5. They still do not have Ryan Tannehill. He will not play in this game this week. It will once again be Brock Osweiler, who has played okay. I mean, he's played a little bit better, at least statistically, than Tannehill so far this year. But again, it is Brock Osweiler for a reason. The Dolphins are 1-2 in these 3 games that he has started, and they could easily be 0-3 if they had found a way to lose that game against the Bears in overtime. So it has not been great pickings here for the Dolphins, but they get some help here going up against the Jets team that is battered and beaten. A lot of injuries for the Jets on both sides of the ball. Yes, they got Marcus May back last week, but there's still questions about whether Tremaine Johnson is going to come back and he's going to be ready to go at corner for this game. Buster Skrine has been in and out. He's still not 100%. Robbie Anderson did not practice on Thursday, so there's questions about his health moving forward. Quincy Enunwa, still, we haven't heard much about him dealing with his injuries, so a lot of problems right now for the Jets regarding injuries going into this game, and they have really taken a toll of these injuries over the last couple of weeks. This Jet offense last week was invisible against the Chicago Bears, non-existent, and Sam Darnold had nobody to throw the football to in that game against the Bears. Now, if you tell me that he's going to get some help here this week, that maybe Robbie Anderson comes back, maybe I give the Jets a little more of a chance to have that that burner down the sideline in this game against Miami. At the end of the day, I feel that these two teams are just too damn close, so this is going to be a tight one all the way down to the end, and this will be another sucker punch to the solar plex of the New York Jets, as I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins to win by 1 point, 24-23. Final game that I'm going to talk about here is the big game on Sunday night, and that is going to be the New England Patriots and the Green Bay Packers. It is, believe it or not, folks, it is only the second time that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are going to play one another in a game. The only time they played one another was just 4 years ago. The Packers won that game out in Lambeau Field. Before that, when these two teams met in New England, Aaron Rodgers was injured, and that was Matt Flynn playing that game for Green Bay. So, first time that these two quarterbacks will play each other in Foxborough, which is actually kind of hard to believe in a lot of ways. But still, it is the big game. It's the featured game on Sunday night. And for both of these teams, it's huge. For the Green Bay Packers, they have to have this game. They're 3-3-1. The NFC North is really bizarre. I mean, you got Chicago right now in first place at 4-3, Minnesota behind them at 4-3-1, Detroit still hanging around 3-4. Really, nobody wants to win this division right now. There's an opportunity here for a Packer team that, let's be honest, around Aaron Rodgers isn't that good. An opportunity for them to still go out there and compete and win this division. Even if they end up losing this game this week in New England, they still have a chance to win this division because there's really no separation in the North. But still, if the Packers can go in there and steal this one in New England, that'll be a huge boon for them moving forward. They have Miami coming up next week. Then they hit the road to Seattle and then Minnesota at the later part of November. So this is going to be a very intriguing stretch for the Green Bay Packers over the next month of November. Patriots this week, Seattle, and then Minnesota also on the road. That's going to be tough, and that's going to tell us where this Packer team is as far as the playoffs are concerned. As far as New England is concerned, they didn't play all that well last week against the Buffalo Bills. They let Buffalo hang around for a very long time. It was only 9-6 going into the fourth quarter before they pulled away. It's been a kind of a weird year for the Patriots. They're good, but they're not really that good. The Chief game, you expected that game to be back and forth. It was. Patriots won by a field goal, 43-40. But the Bears game was kind of surprising because Chicago had the lead a couple of times there against New England and had a chance to tie the game at the end of it and were unable to do so as the receiver was stopped at the 1-yard line. And then last week, as I mentioned, against Buffalo, they let the Bills hang around. So I'm not sure what the Patriots are, what they're going to be when we get to the end of the season. When we get towards the end of the season, they're going to be at the top of this division because the AFC East sucks for that matter. But this is not the best Patriots team at all during this Brady Belichick era run. It certainly isn't the best Packer team we have seen that they're going to face this week either. So the question is, who's going to win this game? I like the Patriots to win this game because simply they are home. I expect Brady to make a couple of big plays against this Packer defense. And yes, Aaron Rodgers is going to have a chance, but I just feel that the team around him is going to let him down again. So I'm taking the Patriots to win 27-24 over the Green Bay Packers. Now let's go over the rest of the games here for this week. Let me pull up the graphic. There you go. All right, the Thursday night game, the Raiders and the 49ers. Honestly, this is not a game I care about too much. In fact, nobody cares about this game. Both of these teams are terrible. Niners 1-7, Raiders 1-6, both going nowhere. Well documented all the issues that are going on with these two teams. But the only thing that's interesting is that this is the last time it's the Battle of the Bay. Raiders moving to Las Vegas in a couple of years. So this is the last time for this matchup as a quote-unquote Battle of the Bay. I'm going to take the Raiders in this game. The 49ers are going with another quarterback, not C.J. Beathard. They're going with another one, so they got a lot of problems over there. Raiders have a lot of problems, as do the 49ers. Raiders have probably the better, more talented team. I'll take them in this one. 27-17, I'll take the Raiders. Bears, Bills. Boy, the Bills are going back to Nathan Peterman again. I don't know what is with Sean McDermott and his crush on Nathan Peterman, who just stinks. But he's going to go back to him again. The Bears are going to roll in this game. Mitchell Trubisky's going to have another big day. Bears defense will have another big day against an AFC East team. 27-7, Bears taking care of the Bills. Monday night game is the Cowboys and the Titans. Titans just don't score points, folks. They don't score at all. Marcus Mariota, you have to sit there and wonder whether he's really a franchise quarterback. I'm not in love with the Cowboys. They're an inconsistent team, but they will take care of a even more inconsistent Tennessee Titans team, 31-18 on Monday Night Football. Chiefs and the Browns. Why even bother? Browns, of course, firing Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley this week. So this is now Greg Williams' team, as he is the interim head coach. Not exactly the team you want to face in your first game as the interim head coach in the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs all day, Patrick Mahomes all day, take the Chiefs 34-19. Panthers and the Buccaneers. I like the Panthers. They'll find a way to squeak this one out against the Buccaneers, who are going with Ryan Fitzpatrick this week. 29-23, taking the Panthers to win. Texans and the Denver Broncos. And I guess you could say in some ways this is like the Gary Kubiak Bowl, for that matter, since he was the head coach of both of these teams at one point. But the Texans coming in playing great football. They're right now in the thick of this divisional race in the AFC South. They are easily the favorites to win this division, and I think they will take care of business against Denver. I think J.J. Watt and company are going to have a big day defensively against Case Keenum. I like the Texans 24-17. And then I like the Vikings to take care of the Detroit Lions 28-21, bounce back for them after their loss last week against the New Orleans Saints. Finally, last game, a little bit of a surprise, folks. I'm going to pull this one out, and that is the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Chargers. Almost said San Diego. Los Angeles Chargers. Do not fall asleep on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks right now are 4-3. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for them. They started off 0-2. They are 4-1 in the last 5 games. They're playing good football right now. I know they beat they beat 4 bad teams here, but you know what? I think that there's something going on over there in Seattle. They're getting some confidence. Russell Wilson's playing well. I like the Seahawks at home against the Chargers team that is coming off of a bye week, has been on the road now for 3 straight weeks, including going over to London at one point to play the Titans. So they've been they've been road warriors in a lot of ways. So the Chargers, I think this will be a tough task in Seattle. I know Seattle's not what they once were, but I'll take the Seahawks to win 30-23 over the Los Angeles Chargers. So those are my picks here for week number 9, folks, here on the Sports Talk Nation. I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. Remember to like and subscribe right here on the Sports Talk Nation on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook.com/OpenMicProgram and, of course, at OpenMicNJ on Twitter. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.